Okay, now we're on to part two of why the attempts to raise the birth rates are just going to epic. I don't know if that was the title for part one. That's going to be the title of the series. Why the attempts by these far right extremists to raise the birth rates are going to blow up in their face and fucking fail. And the second one is the wide availability of entertainment. You are not going to get television banned. You are not going to get Netflix or all these other streaming services like Peacock or whatever banned. These are multi-billion-dollar industries owned by very wealthy people. You actually think this is you can just take everything back to the 1950s with the level of technology we have today? You are delusional. People have more entertainment than they will ever consume in our world today. Think about everything a person can do just from home now. Back in the 1950s, yeah, you had books, right? But books can be boring. Video games, on the other hand, are not. They're very entertaining. People tend to like them. So if people are home playing video games, let's say you just ban porn, let's say you do it. Is that going to be enough of an incentive to make young men want to leave the home? I don't think it will be, because you still have all these video games that are keeping people at home. People are going to be playing them. And also, what are you going to do? How are you going to enforce a ban like that? Are you motherfuckers really... Do you really want an actual serious fight on your hands? Because it's one thing to talk about porn. It's another thing to take away a person's video games. Like, are you literally... Because you know what? Some people are retro players. They'll just gather old stuff. How the hell do you even regulate that? How are you going to regulate all the consumption habits of every American in the United States? Do you actually think that won't also blow up in your face? I remember when they tried to ban alcohol, how well did that work out? All that did was force it underground. You're not going to get rid of it. This is funny about these people too. They'll say, well, you can't ban the guns. People will just buy them illegally. I'm like, well, if people are just going to buy guns illegally, then won't they also buy porn illegally? Won't they also start buying video games illegally? Oh, I guess you're going to drop that talking point when it suits your purposes. Yeah. But the fact remains, video games keep people at home. All these television programs, they keep people at home. Social media, believe this or not, it keeps people in the fucking home, in their heads. There's all this different stuff. This is not the 1950s anymore. I'm going to say this until you start wearing a t-shirt that says, yes, I get it. It's not the 1950s anymore. Fucking stop. Never. It's not the same thing. There's so much entertainment. There's so much somebody can do and stay at home with. See, the thing is, it would be more torturous. You would have an easier time getting people out of the home if you took all of their entertainment away. But you can't do that because there are entire industries that make billions of dollars off of it. Video games is a multi-billion-dollar industry. These streaming services are making billions of dollars. Television programs, they're raking in the dough. But wait a minute. You're saying that banning abortion and contraception and even porn is going to be enough to deal with this problem? You know that if people want to be petty enough and go, you know what, you want to raise the birth rate, so fuck you, I'm staying home. I'm not doing this whole relationship thing. You think the 4B movement in South Korea is bad? Wait until you find out how young people react to you saying, well, you just need to have children. Even though you're financially burdened, just stop being selfish. Oh yeah, like that's going to work. Right. And you people weren't being selfish. You've never been selfish in your life. No human being on the planet is going to take you seriously except people in your own fucking cult. Everybody else who lives in the real world, we're going to be playing out to Final Fantasy VII Remake, most likely, while you're busy going, why are the birth rates still going down? I don't know. I'm playing with Cloud. I'm playing Cloud right now. You can fuck off and do your own thing. And that's not to mention all the fact that we have YouTube. We have the internet where people can literally watch other people making videos. We can consume all this. Like, there is literally content for days. There are old cartoons and movies to explore. There's old content. You can find anime to watch from the fucking 90s or the early 2000s. You can go through all the retro lists. There is so much people could do with their time. You're never going to win this. You shouldn't have even bothered. You showed up and you failed to realize that you brought the L with you. You sucked. And you didn't realize you sucked. And now you have to carry your L for life. Because that's what L really means. It means L for life. You've lost. You lost before you ever played the game. In fact, there's a quote from Sun Tzu that may enlighten you a little bit. The victor is the one who prepares for battle, then fights. The loser is the one who fights, then seeks victory. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what it is. These people are entering into a battle, and then they're seeking a victory. But see, the wise general, when he or she or whatever heads into battle, they make a plan, and then they execute that. That is what successful people do. Your movement is going to blow up in your fucking face. It's going to implode, and I'm going to be drinking out to... I haven't had alcohol yet, but if I start having it, I'm going to be drinking to celebrate your absolute epic failure when it finally happens, because there's no way you are ever going to succeed in this, because you just don't understand. And this is the other thing too. These people have like this problem. I don't know what's causing this, but there's this major disconnect they have between present and past. They just automatically think that the policies that worked in the past will have the same effect on the people in the present without acknowledging other external factors. Like, are you fucking for real? Are you serious? It's not the same thing, man. First of all, we also have to consider this too, which is factor. Let's say, put aside economics, put aside entertainment, right? Let's say you go for that no-fault divorce bullshit. How many Americans do you think are going to immediately reject the institution of marriage on the basis of it being a dangerous financial decision or dangerous decision towards their health? Because no matter what these assholes say, like, but didn't the woman agree to do this with her vows? Yeah. And you know what some men do? They lie through their teeth and pretend to be nice until they don't need to anymore. And then the asshole comes out. The monster. The one who beats his wife, who screams at her every day, who degrades her with every word that parts from his lips. There's a lot of deception involved when it comes to getting people into those kinds of relationships. And the reason for that is because men engage in war-making strategies when it comes to their mating tactics. Sorry, not mating tactics. Sorry, there's a lot of war thinking involved when they are engaged in any kind of tactics or strategies to achieve their objective, which is securing sexual reproductive access to a woman. That's what they do. And you think when this generation of women is not the same generation of women in the 50s or 40s. They know about the field of psychology. We're able to get on the internet, a tool they did not have back then, and confer and consult with other women and say, hey, are you seeing the same thing I'm seeing? Are you seeing this motherfucker love bombing me too? So that's interesting. So the women today, unlike the other ones, they're educated. They know the kinds of shit that men get up to whenever they're in the dating world or the marriage world. They've heard the stories too because they talk to each other. And see, here's the thing. The internet made communication more rapid and quick. So whereas back in the day in the 1950s, when you were talking to each other, right, your options were basically limited to your area. to your local vicinity. That was what it was. It was limited to your local vicinity. You couldn't just go and talk to 1,000 or even 2,000 women, and you couldn't do it as quickly as we can today. In today's world, you can literally read thousands of comments from women who are commenting on their experiences regarding men in the dating world and how they behave and operate, their conduct. And by the way, this works in reverse too. Although I find it's to a lesser degree, but there are other men who are talking with other men and saying, hey, watch out for this behavior. Because why? There are personality disordered people on both sides of the aisle in the fucking population, and they fuck with people in the dating world and in the marriage world. This isn't the same time as the 1950s. You cannot literally go back to the 1950s because you would have to perfectly replicate all of the conditions of the 1950s. You absolute assholes. But you couldn't do that because that would mean destroying several industries in the process. And I can promise you that they're not going to just let you go. They're not going to do that without a fight. Also, there's no way that these people themselves would give up their own creature comforts and entertainment for the so-called greater good, no matter what they say. They're full of shit. You would never do it. You would never sacrifice that fucking hard. You know why? Because you're not actually virtuous people. There's no such thing as virtuous people in the political realm. They can act self-righteous. They can act like they're better than everybody else. They're more moral than everyone else. But this is reality. This is the day-to-day struggle of being a human being, finding something to keep yourself entertained, finding some way to keep going so you don't want to kill yourself, you don't want to think about this other bullshit. That's the life of the average human. But today, and I could do this too. I could go on Twitter and I could literally just type out a comment saying to the women and girls, what are the types of behaviors you look for when you decide whether a man is dangerous or not? Like, what are the red flags? You know how many women, if I had a channel with like 100,000 subscribers, or I had something on a profile on X, do you know how many women and girls would be like, yeah, he did this, this, and this to me? They would be sharing all their stories. They don't even need to have direct communication with each other. A person, any human being can go online and read through these comments and absorb the information from thousands of people. They can read thousands of stories in far less time than would have taken before. Back in the day in the 50s, you would have to actually talk with another human being. You would have to communicate with that person, get to know that person, and then hear their shared life experiences. Now, life experiences are shared on a far greater magnitude. There's just more volume to work with here. Like, for example, you meet 10 women in your life and they all say relatively the same thing. But you think, hey, maybe that sample size is too small. Maybe I'm just unlucky. This can't really be how men behave, right? Or whatever. There are ways the human brain can dismiss what it doesn't want to accept as true. But then if you're on the internet and you're reading 1,000 or 10,000, and then you start seeing this shit, and you're like, wait a minute. So it's not just me. It's not even just 10 or 20 women. There are thousands of women going through the same thing I'm going through. There are thousands of women who met these men who were charming and nice at first. And then when they got to know them, they turned out to be like these evil, vicious bastards who destroyed their marriages. And their only way out was to get away from abuse. So what's the whole point of all this? Why go through this, Gynarchic? What are you getting at? The point is, if you ban no-fault divorce, women on the internet will immediately share that information with every other woman so that every woman in the country knows what they're getting into. Women have more access to information. It's not just education from the field of psychology regarding the behaviors that narcissistic men engage in, or men who are sociopathic or psychopathic. Women have access to other women's general experiences now, so they can make informed decisions about their own life based upon that data. So if you decide to ban no-fault divorce, a lot of women are going to respond by saying, well, you know what? Then I'm not going to get married. Because I can't take the risk that you're a fucking liar. I can't risk my health, my livelihood, my future on the possibility that you are looking out for me. Ain't no way, homie.